comics.
So Shigs, so GX, I'm right in assuming that Project Shadow will be a discussion between me and Shigs, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's one reason why I put it first in the discussions list, just in case Shigs had to like get out of here to eat something or play Fortnite or something.
Yeah,
no,
I'm sorry, guys. I have to leave to play Fortnite.
Many times I have played Fortnite and other games while talking to you guys during a podcast. It's not hard to do.
Oh my god! I feel even less bad about making that joke now.
You know what? I respect the hustle. I respect the hustle. Do we want to do a show?
No,
I think we do.
I just want to sit
Okay,
here
we're all going to
and
just go play Fortnite now. Okay, let's go ahead and start a show. I don't know. I'm just gonna run the intro and then tell you whenever we're live with after the intro, and then.
Okay, so no counting down in my head to 5 or whatever.
Nah, let's skip that.
Okay, so you're gonna tell me when to start talking.
Sure.
Good, that'll be easier for me.
Cool. And let's begin. You can start, but I realized a significant issue in our intro where Shig's image appeared over top of it, but I'm going to leave it as is.
Well, congrats, Shigs. You're part of our intro now. Hey, everyone, and welcome to a New Year's edition of the Sonic Talk podcast. I am your host, Nuckles87, and with me today is the great and glorious Shigs.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year.
Nobody says the wizard. No way, no how.
And also GX, I guess.
I'm also here, apparently.
Yes. Congratulations on being here.
It is the most successful honor that I have ever had is being in a place to do a thing. I can't possibly ask for anything more prestigious than that.
So, well, let's go do a show. So we have a lot to discuss, even though we did our last show, 3 weeks ago or something? 2.5?
It's almost 2023 was a very busy year with many releases.
Yes, and the news just didn't really let up. So I guess first of all, we're going to discuss what Santa brought us for Christmas, because as you know, Santa Claus every year brings all of the good boys and girls, regardless of age, gifts. And then, on Sonic Talk, we talk about what Santa Claus brought us. And so for me, what he brought me is he really likes me, because he brought me he brought me 2 whole game systems. So first I'm going to talk about my Steam Deck OLED. So the Steam Deck OLED is really, really awesome. Look, it's been out for a couple months now. Everyone knows how awesome it is. That it's secretly better than a bigger upgrade than Steam let on. That is accurate. But still, for me, it's got 90 frame per second refresh rate screen. It's got HDR. It's got haptic rumble, which is really cool. It is wild just feeling this new rumble. But obviously, for me, by far, the biggest and most impressive upgrade is that screen. My God, OLED is something I have been in love with ever since I got the Switch OLED. When I got the Switch OLED, I was like, oh my God, I don't need... Screw 4K. I don't need 4K anymore. What I need is the blackest blacks.
You need a console that can properly render Icar.
Yes. And On Steam Deck, it's even cooler because, I'm not just limited to what I can play on the Switch. I can play everything with the blackest of blacks and other vibrant colors. Like Rez. Rez is one of the first games I started playing after the Sonic games, obviously. Like my first game was like I think Sonic Adventure 2 because I just wanted to see like, okay, how does it render Radical Highway? And unfortunately, like Radical Highway, like even on OLED, it doesn't have like legitimate dark blacks in its background or anything. But it's still wild seeing the colors on that level pop like they do. But by far, like one of the most impressive experiences you can have on a Steam Deck is with Rez, because like Rez like has these really dark background colors. And then it's got like all the the brighter foreground color, the brighter wireframes and stuff, and so everything just pops, and it is so gorgeous. Like it's never looked this gorgeous to me before. Like even on more advanced even on like higher definition game consoles, it does not look as good as it does on my Steam Deck OLED. But but it's just as just a general quality of life improvement. Like the screen is just so nice. Like on a Steam Deck OLED, I've mostly been playing Grand Theft Auto 5, which is a game I got on sale, or I'm sorry, Santa Claus got on sale and gave to me for on the holiday season, and and like I was playing that for a little bit on my old Steam Deck, but moving it over to the new Steam Deck, like everything, it's just such a it's like I don't know, something just like scraped some colors off the screen or something. It's just, or I mean, sorry, scrape some stuff off the screen to like let the colors really show. But so Grand Theft Auto, like so I've been playing a lot of that recently, and it's it's Grand Theft Auto, like it's been around for like what, a decade now, but I finally just got it now, and this is the first Grand Theft Auto I've ever really gotten into. Like before this, the closest I ever got was San Andreas, because by and large, my experience with Grand Theft Auto is, I stick in the game, I get my guy, and I get a gun, and I start going on killing sprees. Then I like I get chased by the cops, and then I kill a bunch of the cops, then I get their guns, and then I have better guns, and that's just my whole gameplay loop. That's all I need from Grand Theft Auto. But I'll admit, like for Grand Theft Auto 5, like that's the first game that's kind of grabbed me in terms of like the storyline and the missions and stuff, because this is probably the smoothest Grand Theft Auto they've ever made. So like, yeah, I've been really digging that lately. But so obviously, I'm a Sonic fan, and so whenever I get a new game system, I gotta play Sonic on it. And so, like, one of the things I really wanted to see on the Steam Deck OLED was Crisis City on Sonic Generations. Like one of the best looking, like one of the best levels in that game, in my opinion. But the problem is Sonic Generations is very unstable on PC, and like I never know when that damn game is going to launch. Sometimes, like if I'm not playing that game consistently, if I give it a break for a couple of months and then come back to it, I have no idea if it's going to start up again. And like this is one of those times where like I transferred everything from an old Steam Deck to my new Steam Deck. Like did a whole memory transfer from one SSD to another. So like everything should have carried over, but of course the one thing that didn't was Sonic Generations, which needed me to go into settings, and it needed me to like reconfirm the settings, and so I do that, and it works. But and so like I'm thinking, okay, good. I guess you need to go into settings. Now it's working, and so. But I noticed, oh hey, it's only running at 60 frames per second, but the settings show it can run at 90 frames per second. And I want to see Sonic Generations on my Steam Deck at 90 frames, because that's a thing that it can do. And so I exit the game, I go into settings, I select the 800p 90 hertz option again, and then the game doesn't start. And this started a 2-day ordeal of me first just troubleshooting. Okay, maybe it doesn't like 90 frames, so like I go through all the different settings, all the different frame rate settings. Like I experiment not switching from keyboard to Xbox 360. Like I guess spend like a whole day just trying to figure that out, and it just won't boot again. I don't know what I did. I uninstall it, I reinstall it, it still won't boot. And so, like, I decide, okay, you know what? They have, like, guides on how to get all the Sonic games running on the Steam Deck. So I'm just going to go to this guide. I'm going to, like, go to Sonic Generations. I'm going to follow the instructions. But the instructions involve using Hedge Mod Manager. And, like, the instructions, like, they direct me to like, using this thing called bottles. But which is supposed to like let you run Windows apps on a Steam Deck. And so I go through this whole thing, but the bottles guide is incomplete at multiple stages. And the bits that like I'm able to do, no matter what I do, it doesn't work. And so I spend a whole day on this. I have to like go into command line again, which I hate. I hate going into command line.
Have you tried to go into those settings where you can try a different kind of OS, the experimental OSs?
That is the first thing that I did. I didn't just switch through all the different settings in the game launcher. I also switched through like a bunch of different protons as well.
Flavors of proton.
Yes.
And I'm guessing one of them was GE.
Worked. Yes, GE was my default.
Yeah.
That's the one that broke on me. But like, and so like I spent a whole day on this, and like I'm getting frustrated. I give up, and I decide, okay, like I think I asked you at this point, GX, how do you have Sonic Generations running your Steam Deck?
And I
you
just
told
do.
Me GE.
Yep.
And so like, okay, I'm going to just try GE again and see what happens, and it just works.
Yep. But look, Sonic Generations on a good day is not a particularly reliable port on PC. But also,
I have been running on a Steam Deck. I don't know why you had that much problem with it. I was surprised.
I usually haven't lately until now.
But the issue is, and it's going to be the issue with any sort of game of this type, is hopefully, meaning, hey, if we ever get back to an era where PC ports are good, are not very questionable again and are definitely reliable, ideally, a lot of developers are at least making these things with the Steam Deck in mind. And at this time, like, hey, anything you do is still going through an emulation layer, and that can introduce so many different issues. So when you, like, combine the inherent problems associated with that port of Generations with, like, the things that could happen through the translation layer, like, you're gonna have weirdness. I know, back when Sonic Colors launched, like, it was kind of surprising that I could get it, Sonic Colors Ultimate, that I could get it to run at all, because I saw other people who were not able to get it to run. And, like, you're not... It's very easy to think of the Steam Deck as a console, but at the end of the day, it is still a PC, and you're using a
Linux PC, which is why I had to go into command line.
Yeah, well, I mean...
But anyway... So like ultimately, I discovered that 90 frames per second just actually doesn't work for Sonic Generations. Because I checked the settings, it's still set for that. It just still only runs at 60, and I've accepted that. I don't care anymore. I'll take what I can get.
Join us plebs in our 60 frames per second world.
What's wrong with Grand Theft Auto 5?
I honestly can't tell the difference between 60 and 90 anyway.
Like, it runs at 90 frames per second automatically. GTA 5 can do it, Sonic Generations can't. But anyway. So, like, yeah, and I will say this about Sonic Generations on Steam Deck. It runs very well now. Like, I never really experienced frame rate hitches anymore. So, someone's fixed something.
I think
And hopefully it can get Hedgemod Manager running one day.
I thought at some point there was a mod that was specifically there to address some of the Steam Deck issues, unless it was just like a controller issue or something. It was supposed to change the DirectX version associated with it. I don't know.
Huh.
It's something.
Anyway, and the final game I've been playing a lot of on Steam Deck lately has been Nights into Dreams and Nike's Journey of Dreams, which I always play those games a lot around this time of year because I kind of consider them Christmas games, what with Christmas nights and all. And like, yeah, they're still a lot of fun, and the colors for those games, of course, really pop on the OLED, especially on the like original HD version of Nights into Dreams, like. It is really gorgeous on this, especially the Christmas edition. Anyway, so, as I said, Santa Claus didn't just bring me the Steam Deck OLED, because, you know, like, I also do Hanukkah, and Santa Claus is all like, yeah, I can do something for Hanukkah. And so, I also got a Quest 3. And, I have a rule where I do not buy hardware that like has a lifespan of less than 2 years without skipping a generation. Like this mostly applies to like phones and iPads, you know, that sort of thing. I like to keep my stuff for at least 3 years before upgrading. And so like, you know, the Quest 2 that came out like 18 months after the Quest 1. So I'm thinking, yeah, no, I'm ignoring this thing because America's going to release something else next year probably, and then we have 2021 and 2022, and now it's 2023. It's been like 3 years. I would have been happy with the Quest 2's lifespan. But anyway, so I went from the Quest 1 to the Quest 3, and my god, is it a massive jump. Like, the Quest 3 is like a generational leap.
Because I'm on the Quest 2, and I'm very happy with it still. I've had that for like 2 years now.
Yeah, like honestly, if I knew the Quest 2 was going to be this relevant for this long, and they were just going to like stop supporting the Quest 1 like a couple years ago with the major games, I wouldn't have waited. But you know, I'm a fool, I guess. But regardless, I've got the hot stuff now, and Quest 3 is super impressive. Like. So, I've on the Quest 3, I've been doing a mix of playing. I bought a couple new games, but I've also been playing a bunch of old games that I got like on the old Quest, but you know they either didn't run very well, or I guess wasn't playing it anymore, like because it was getting old. But on the Quest, so on the Quest 3, the first thing I played was it was this mixed reality game, which I'm blanking on the name at the moment, but it comes with the Quest. And you've got so basically what the Quest 3 can do this really awesome thing where you don't have to outline your play space anymore. Instead, it can automatically scan everything, and it can see walls, it can see furniture, it can does a 3D map of like your entire room. Now there are limits to it because I tried it out in my parents' living room, and like they have a big living room, and I couldn't get the whole thing in the Quest, so like so there are some limitations there. But regardless, like so basically like what this particular game does is it scans the room, and then like. It turns the walls into like this wall between your home and another dimension, and then like it drops this rocket. It can land on your furniture, it landed on like a sitting chair when it went for me, and these creatures start coming out, and you have to and you're given a gun. You have to start shooting them to catch them. They start breaking through the dimensional walls.
I think it might be worth mentioning that the Quest 3 has like these HD color cameras facing on the outside, so you're still seeing your environment.
They're like okay, so yeah, so
because
the Quest 3 has these 2, like
The Quest 2 doesn't have that. It has black and white fuzzy cameras, basically.
Yeah. The Quest 3 has these basically these cell phone cameras that the image is still pretty fuzzy, but like you can constantly see the world around you, and so you can just effortlessly like see everything around you while you're inside your headset, and that's what the mixed reality uses. And so like these creatures will start like breaking through your walls. And you can start shooting at them through the walls. And as this all happens, you can like start seeing this alien landscape on the other side of the walls of your room. And the effect is really cool. And as they start jumping in, they'll start like jumping all around on your furniture and stuff. And it's just a really cool effect. And it's a very simple game. Like you just shoot the creatures, you shoot as many as you can, and they go into the rocket, and the rocket launches, I don't know, up into the air and takes them away. But it really this feels like something Nintendo would do. It really makes me excited for what they're going to do with this technology in the future, especially like in the far future once the cameras and this tech is better. But okay. So in addition to that, the first real game that I played was Space Channel 5 VR, where you play like you play a backup dancer for Ooh La La, and it's a very simple rhythm game where you just like you dance, you follow the moves of the what are they called, the
aliens?
Space Channel 5 aliens.
I forget.
Well, you know what I mean. The Space Channel 5 aliens.
Yeah, you could just call them that.
Yeah. And it's basically like a rhythm dance exercise game, and it's shallow, but it's fun. It makes sense for Space Channel 5. I'm actually way better at this than I am at regular Space Channel 5. I suck at that game so much. But like unfortunately, like you don't like it all takes place in like stationary environments. But I don't know. Like it's a cool, simple little game, and I don't know. It just feels like a natural fit for the franchise. But going on, the next game I played was Iron Man. Now, Shigs, you have some experience with this.
Yeah,
this was a game I first played on PlayStation VR. But like it came out, I never wanted to pay full price for Iron Man, and I was like, I was gonna wait for a sale, but it never went on sale. And by the time it might have, I just wasn't playing PlayStation VR anymore because Sony never sent me my goddamn PlayStation VR adapter. But anyway, it was on sale on the Quest, and this is definitely like one of the most impressive VR games I've played because you just fly around these landscapes using the controllers as Iron Man's like hand jacks and his repulsors, and it is very immersive, very impressive. Like, just like it's like one of the most immersive action games I have ever played in VR. Shigs, you want?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. It says its comfort level's good for sitting down, but I found for flying, you have to kind of stand up, and because you have to bend and twist your wrists and everything when you're flying. But I've only played through the first level on that one. I haven't had a lot of time this week. I just got this and Assassin's Creed on the sale. But yeah, it is quite a bit of fun. It's if you got a fear of heights, you might want to consider it otherwise, because you are going to be doing a lot of flying up in the air and like landing in that. It's not too bad though.
For the record, I have a massive fear of heights, but this game gives me very little motion sickness and absolutely zero vertigo. Like this is like,
I haven't had any problem with that either.
Like I've
noticed that I've had more. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was gonna say I've had more VR sickness back on the PS4 VR helmet than I ever had with the Quest.
Yeah, same here. And I do think that the fact that you don't need to be stationary is a part of that. But like for me, like Iron Man is like one of those brilliant VR games that solves the problem of motion sickness in VR, because like even though you're like flying around all these landscapes, like doing lots of motion stuff. You're fighting robots. You're flying around skyscrapers, firing missiles, firing your repulsor lasers, and I never get a bit of motion sickness, presumably because of the nature of your movement, where like you're using the controllers to jet yourself around rather than walking, and I guess that just tricks your brain in the right way, but like it's just really really fun, like just kind of juggling, using the repulsors, using your weapons. This is like one of the most immersive superhero games I've ever played, because it really feels like you're Iron Man. Like it's so good at that.
Yeah.
And it really just does sell some of the best qualities of VR. But I have one more game to talk about. Trover. That is a game I bought on sale right towards the end of when I was using my original Quest about a year ago. Like, I bought it and then I never got around to playing it because I just had other things to do. But like, this is another game that kind of solves some of the VR issues in an interesting way. Like, at its core, it's basically just a very basic 3D platformer with like some VR mechanics and Rick and Morty jokes. So like the game has two components. One is you are a Cheropian. You are an alien species that spends its entire life in a chair, which you control with something that looks suspiciously like a game controller. And like you teleport around, you can move up and down, you can do all these things from the chair. You can like solve basic puzzles and stuff. You can like psychically move objects and hit buttons. But in addition to that, you also have an action platformer component through, I think his name is Trover, the purple guy on all the marketing stuff. And like you can move him around, you can do platforming, you can like attack enemies with a with like this sword thing, and that component of the game is kind of like something you would have experienced in the PS2 era. But that combined with the VR component, I think, does make this a more involved, more interesting than those games. And it does, and I've only gotten through the first world so far, and like I said, it's very Rick and Morty humor, very vulgar. I'm not going to get into any examples, but you can like knock a guy's house off a cliff. Actually, it gives you a choice of which person to kill. They're both horrible, but so yeah, like it's a fun VR game. I do recommend getting at least on sale. Aside from that, I played a little bit of Asgard's Wrath 2, but I didn't have much time for that before the show, because that game was 30 gigs. It took like an entire day to download and install because the Quest servers have been so goddamn slow. Now, Jason, now Shigs, you have been playing a game that I was considering getting because it was on sale, but I ended up not, and that's Assassin's Creed Nexus.
Yeah, I'm guessing Asgard's Wrath is a Quest 3 exclusive because I haven't seen that on the.
I know I thought I heard it was supposed to be on the Quest 2 and Quest Pro, but I got it for free with my Quest 3. So
okay, so I'll see if I can check that out. I didn't see it on the store before, but anyway, yeah, I am as you probably know, a pretty big fan of Assassin's Creed games. I enjoy those. And so this one is just full VR game, and I was waiting to see if anybody was going to give me any gift cards towards the Meta Quest during the holidays. I didn't, but since they had sales, I went ahead and got that one. And it is very immersive. You can do it just fine as a sit-down game, or you can stand and crouch and be more interactive with it. It does have its own crouch button if necessary. The one good thing I like about it, it still plays like an Assassin's Creed game in which you have a joystick for movement. There are good accessibility and comfort levels options in case you get sick if you're pressing forward on a stick and you're moving, you can still do the teleport if you want to. I don't have any issues with that myself. But yeah, I played through the first level and a half, I think, and so far, because that's all I've had time for. I'll probably do more tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow without much to do. But yeah, let me see. Like, if you have to just sneak around certain areas, if there's guards, you can actually grab corners and just like do a little peek if you want and go back, which is pretty impressive. You have your blade that you can just hold down one of the trigger buttons and flick your wrist to bring out.
Ooh,
And stab
cool.
them in the back when they're when they're
So
behind
you got that special
such.
assassin's blade.
Yeah. They do parkour, but that's just pretty easy. You just hold. It's kind of like Zelda, where you hold down a jump button, so when you're moving forward, you'll automatically jump onto different platforms. Yeah, they make it as
third person
easy
or
as
first
possible.
person?
It is first person the entire way. You are playing these different assassins. It's basically you're at the Animus Center, where the Templars are at, and you're a new recruit, and they're kind of giving you this best of where you're doing all these quests by popular characters from the entire Assassin's Creed anthology.
So they're using that headset nonsense again?
Yeah. Well, of course, it makes more sense because you actually are wearing a headset.
That is true. It's like the one instance where that doesn't feel entirely intrusive, I will admit.
And you can see where the Quest 3 difference besides a lower resolution. It does have I could tell where it's a lower resolution than a Quest 3 would. But there's a section where they're talking to you in virtual space, and all you have is I could see out into my room, which of course is black and white and fuzzy, while they're talking to me in this clear 3D image. But yeah, I mean, it's actually pretty impressive. You can do pretty much everything you do in the Assassin's Creed games, only in VR. You can even do one of my favorite things to do in a lot of these games is like climbing up little areas, doing little parkours. You can climb and then push yourself forward and like jump either on tables or onto platforms like that. And of course, you have your sword play, which is fully 3D. How do I put this? One-on-one when you're moving your controller. It's exact with the sword, no matter what.
Ooh, does it work like Vader Immortal?
Kind of, where the guard's coming at you. He has very obvious areas he's going to strike, and you can defend that way, and then counterattack.
You're making me wish I'd gotten this on sale.
I think depending on how obvious it is, depending on difficulty, because they have a easy, medium, and hard difficulties for that. But yeah, from what I understand, I got to get into it because it's like a 20-hour game from what I hear. So
wow, long?
That's what I heard. So I want to jump back into it. Have you played all the way through Vader Immortal?
Yeah, I played all of those games. That was not 20 hours.
That's a great game.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I also
20 hours. I just heard from somebody else.
The other Star Wars game, but I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I hope to rectify that soon.
Oh, the Galaxy's Edge one. I think I like Vader Immortal better, but it's more straightforward. Galaxy's Edge, you're just doing little missions here and there.
Okay, so for Assassin's Creed, I assume it's at least it's a linear game. It's not.
Yeah,
it doesn't have any like open world components.
No. It's not open world at all because they can't. Okay, they wouldn't be able to do that. So it is linear. It is you're going through mission to mission, playing as the different Assassin's Creed heroes.
And do you get any options in terms of how you assassinate your target, or is it just like the one way?
I haven't played long enough. I believe there are other options. I mean, you do have your hidden blade along with your sword, and I think later on you do get guns and other little weapons for long range. So it should be more options. So like I said, I've only played like the first level or two. I haven't played too far into it. I've only been about an hour and a half into it.
I missed the sale for it anyway, so I have time to consider it. I'm getting you to give me some updates on this on Discord.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I've been playing so far. It's just as far as new games now, Quest 2. I got
all right.
I got Call of Duty the Modern Warfare 2 for like $10 on a sale. And I already hate it because you go in there, you update it, it's like 120 gigs on the Xbox Series X.
Jesus.
And then you have to go through all these options that it looks like it's like Modern Warfare 3, but it's not. But it has all the menus like it's Modern Warfare 3. And so I
I'm just
have
waiting
to
for this
dig
stuff
through
to
all
hit
these
Game Pass.
menus just to get to the campaign of Modern Warfare 2. It's hidden really badly, really deeply, and it's really annoying.
Is this the one that just came out?
No, this is the one before that.
All right, because I heard the one this year is terrible.
I think I'm gonna bow out of Call of Duty now. It's just getting worse and worse. It seems like.
I didn't even know you played Call of Duty. I've never been able to get into it.
I used to play the campaigns because I like the big movie aspects of them, but I could never get very far in multiplayer because those kids in multiplayer are way too skilled.
I never even bothered with
every
Call of
time
Duty's multiplayer. But like, I'm hoping once it hits Game Pass, I can actually get into the campaigns at least. So okay. So GX, as I understand it, Santa Claus brought you an early copy of Sonic Roll.
Yeah, no, they didn't, but Kess Entertainment did, and they sent us over a...
I'm sure they were working through Santa Claus.
Sure. No, it was full of red and blue confetti, not red and green, so I think that's a differentiator. Okay. But yeah, I got a review copy of Sonic Roll, so I have been checking that out. I have not been able to play multiplayer with it yet, but I have played at least 2 rounds of the single-player campaign. So to kind of give you a sense of what it is a upcoming Sonic dice game. Basic tabletop game for up to 4 players. It's semi-cooperative, meaning that basically it has a campaign that you can kind of go through as your group. You can certainly win as your group, you can lose as your group, but there's going to be someone who's going to still have a higher score at the end of it if everyone succeeds. Of course, everyone could all fail, and then everyone loses and you don't make progress, but, you know, it is what it is. If you have someone who's, I don't know, being Knuckles, and Knuckles is kind of an unhelpful jackass in the game, but he can go off and do his own thing, I guess. But yeah, it is a press your luck game, and that's sort of... I think Yahtzee is the comparison that people would be most familiar with, but it's not going to be too much like Yahtzee aside from rolling dice. Every player gets a character among Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy. Each one has different abilities and draws from different pools of dice. On your turn, you would choose which of the 3 dice pool abilities you would want to make. So, for Sonic's example, if you're playing as Sonic, you could choose his Super Peel Out dice pool, which is just 6 blue dice, and you have to get rid of whichever one or ones have the lowest value. You could use his Spin Dash dice pool, in which you roll a blue and a red dice, and you get to keep them... but you continue rolling them until eventually 2 of the dice that you are keeping have the same value. So, like, if you roll twice, and on the first roll you get a 6 and a 5, and the second roll you get a 1 and a 5, you would stop there and keep those 4 dice. And then you could get yellow dice, and they each represent different things. Blue dice represent, like, a running action. Yellow dice represent a jumping action. They're usually good for getting around badnik obstacles and gaining rings. And then red dice are roll moves, which are basically just how you can defeat enemies. And you're going to be taking those dice and slotting them onto different cards across a 3-tier level. So if you can kind of picture, the first stage is obviously like Green Hill, because it's a Sonic game, and that's what you do in a Sonic game. You go through Green Hill. You have three
Ooh, that's gonna
paths
anger
in
some
Green
people.
Hill, and the top path is going to have these slots for you to put dice into, as is the middle path and as is the bottom path, and you're going to basically put your dice in. Now, running dice are real good for that. You can put them in without having to do extra re-rolls. But if you decide to use yellow dice or red dice, every time you slot a die, you're going to have to re-roll your entire thing. So blue are great for moving, but yellow and red can be used, but they're going to add much more instability to what you want to do on a turn. You can spend them on movement. As you go through, you're also going to accumulate badniks on your character. Badniks are going to hurt you unless you can negate them through specific rolls. So, one of the examples they show in the instructions is, hey, if you happen to have a moto bug in front of you and you roll a blue 6 or a blue 3, that's going to be damage. But if you spend a red 1, you can defeat it for a flicky, which is worth points, or you can jump over it with a yellow die rolled on 1, and you don't get any bonuses, but you at least don't take damage. You remove the badnik from play, with the goal being you're eventually going to fill up all the slots on these cards. If you get through all the cards, you have completed the level, and you move on to a boss, which is kind of similar. You have fewer slots on each of the cards, but you still have 3 paths. But when you clear a card, you have a chance to hit the boss, usually with a red damage attack. And if you do, they take damage. You start that part of the boss fight over again with the goal of taking away all their hit points. If you can do that, you win. You get to tally up scores. The rub on it is you're taking turns with other players. You're slotting in these dice. You are basically just trying to match the best you can. But the challenge here is you can stop slotting them in at any time if it seems like you can't, or like if you re-roll and you can't slot something afterwards, you will take damage for not being able to do anything there. But anytime you end a turn with dice unspent, you take a time token, kind of representing time passing in the game. And collectively for all players, you only get 7 of them. So you're really motivated to try to spend every dice you can. You want to obviously make progress on everywhere where you can slot a die, but if you press too hard for that, you're going to take damage. And if you don't do anything about it, if you leave these dice, then you're going to be wasting time and you could fail the mission that way. So it's kind of trying to find the balance between those two things and, just trying to figure out what you can do for it. It's interesting. I enjoyed my time with it, and I kind of want to spend some time in multiplayer. I had a fun time with just trying to what it's good at, I should say. It's good at the turn-by-turn trying to logic through what's the best way to optimize this. How can I manage the probabilities involved? Does it make sense for me to take this route and then have these numbers available on the next turn? Or is it going to be better for me to just sort of accept that I can take a time token now? And as you get closer to the end of the level, taking those time tokens gets to be a harder and harder ask, just because you can have a lot of dice. Honestly, there are turns where not having a lot of dice is beneficial, because that's less risk of things that you have to do whenever it's more predictable. The only thing I would say is it's very complex for a push your luck game. I wouldn't say that the amount of complexity really helps it get its point across. Like, sometimes it does feel like the amount of rules gets in the way of sort of the simplicity of what the game is asking you to do. It feels like it's trying to simulate too many mechanics from a Sonic game, because you have the multiple paths that you could be running through. You have badniks, you have bosses, you have Chaos Emerald powers, you have all these sort of special effects that you get. You have all these special character abilities. You have time to worry about. You have special boost power if you need it. You have small animals. And it feels like that might be just a couple more mechanics than the game might need to just shine as something a bit more straightforward. Because at the end of the day, the strategy that you're looking at is, what can I do in this situation? What are the odds of me getting what I want and me not getting what I want? And how can I sort of manage that? And I think you can do that more directly. Like, it's good. And I had a fun time with it, and I enjoyed my time with the 2 single-player games I played. I look forward to being able to play it with some friends in the near future. It's the kind of thing where if you are a Sonic fan and you are a tabletop fan, this is probably going to be a recommend for me. But if you are more of a tabletop fan than you are a Sonic fan, then I could probably recommend a few games that do a better job with press your luck mechanics than this. Or at least have fewer rules, or more straightforward, or just, feel a bit more fun.
Well, this is certainly a better review than the last tabletop game you looked at.
What was the last tabletop game I looked at last year?
Man, I forget. I think it was something IDW made or something.
IDW did. There was a dice game that IDW put out that I took a look at, and it's fine. It's like fine-ish. I have some complaints about it, but it's
all right. Well,
it's a thing.
But in any case, like, this one sounds better at least. So
yeah, it's cool.
You do have a video review.
Well, we have an unboxing video up on the site right now. You can go check it out there or on YouTube.
Okay. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. I thought it was a review.
No, I just walk you through, hey, these are the components, and these are generally speaking what you do with the components. I would like to do some video content for this game, but thus far it is a 4-game campaign with some sort of post-game content type stuff.
Post-game content.
There's like a thing in the manual that basically says, hey, do not open this page until you have beat all 4 zones. And like the nice thing about it is it does give you some decent content. Like, you get Green Hill, and Green Hill has its own deck of cards that goes with it of level stuff. It even has, like, its own specific deck of badniks to go with it. Like, in terms of value, I'm guessing this is going to be between 50 and 60. In tabletop terms, like, having, in pure quantity, it's not too bad. I think one of them is Chemical Plant, one of them is Stardust Speedway, and then one of them is Lava Reef Zone. And
well, at least we got one Science-free stage in there.
Oh yeah, no, it's like every one of them is from a different Sonic game. Now, it's all like, it's still, generally speaking, all Mania themed.
Starlight Speedway Sonic CD.
Yeah.
Okay, I got them mixed up with Starlight Zone.
No, it's primarily like Sonic Mania themed. Like, one of the bosses that you do fight is the You fight a bunch of the first boss you fight is a fleet of egg bots, and then eventually you will fight against the hard-boiled heavy, or the heavy king. I'm sorry, and each have like different patterns and stuff that you have to contend with. It's kind of neat. It's I think it's something to keep an eye out. Like I said, this is not going to be for casual pickup. Like it. I would not recommend this as your first hobbyist tabletop game. I recommend getting some hobby tabletop game experience under your belt, just because I don't think the rulebook is entirely friendly to newcomers.
That is a little surprising to me.
It took me a couple reads to really get a grasp on all of the mechanics, because like I said, there's just so many different moving parts on this. It's like there are ways that I think they could probably simplify this design to be, a little bit more straightforward for players rather than this very bunch of cards on the table. Like it's a big sprawling game. You need the table space for a lot of things on it. So, but yeah, I'm generally feeling positive about it. Like I don't feel 100% positive, but I feel like decently positive about it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, we should probably move on to the news. The news that we have had over the last few weeks.
Indeed. Are you going to move on to the news?
Yes, I am. I don't know. I felt like you had something else to say.
No.
So, the first piece of news that we're going to talk about today is something that we briefly touched upon at the very end of our previous show.
It is a strange one.
Shigs wasn't. Yeah, but and it kind of just came out of nowhere. It's like I was surfing Twitter near the end of our show, as I do, and turns out, oh hey, the person, a data miner, has uncovered more DLC for Sonic Superstars, specifically a shadow costume for Sonic, and a Retro Diner Amy costume. So the data miner is Axonary, and this shadow costume could be a couple different things. Like my hope, of course, is that it's legitimately just. I'm hoping it's legitimately just Shadow.
I hope they give us an interpretation of classic Shadow. Like that's the ideal. That's the thing that would actually be funny.
And so
just so weird, because he was never around during that time.
According to the data mine, the skin is like Rabbit in that it is a unique. In that it is a unique skin with a unique voxel skin for Cyberstation, among other things. So it's kind of treated almost like its own character. So that does give me hope that is legitimately just classic Shadow. But another potential option is that it could be Sonic in a Shadow onesie.
I mean, that's my hope.
The Avatar, who apparently there's a Shadow onesie for that character.
Yeah, look, I'm going to be in favor of anything that is going to be stupid as it is associated with Shadow. Whatever is the most nonsensical solution is the one that I want them to pursue.
Can you just imagine Sonic is wearing a Shadow costume and his little blue face just sticking out of it?
Like I'm thinking of the freaking Hatsune Miku Sonic costume, except like it's Shadow and Sonic is wearing it.
But the fact that this is like the rabbit skin,
I'm wearing your skin.
It could have its own name. It could have its own. Well, wouldn't be Super Sonic. It'd be like, I don't know, a shiny version of the regular skin, I guess.
I mean, look, they're not above saying, despite them talking about what the canon is or whatever, they're clearly not above having these like non-canonical DLC events. Like, obviously, there is not a story in the world of Sonic where concept art Rabbit saves the saves the islands.
But we can pretend. But and so like why do you find it interesting is that so far we've gotten a bunch of Amy skins, we've gotten a bunch of Sonics, we seem to have a bunch of upcoming Sonic skins. But we have a couple of Sonic and Amy skins. But for Tails and Knuckles, we only have like their Lego variants, and it kind of feels like they're being left out at the moment.
I suppose so. Like
Trip 2.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we'll ever
Trip hasn't anything.
Yeah, give us Lego Trip. I want Lego Trip.
Yeah, that's the least they could do. Just like they could like release like a legit Lego Trip set. Then just tie that into the game with DLC, I guess. But so I don't know. I'm really looking forward to whatever they're going to do with the Shadow thing.
Yeah, I suppose.
Shigs, what are you hoping for?
I'm not absolutely sure. I mean, like I said, any kind of costume for Trips would be nice, or just something other for Knuckles, and other than just Lego.
I don't know. I guess to what degree
give him his little hat from the OAV anime and stuff.
That'd be cool.
I guess
you know what else they could do? Knuckles in a Rouge onesie.
Oh, that could go really bad, man. That could go real bad.
Alternatively, just classic Rouge, I guess, is what I would prefer, much like classic Shadow.
Oh, then we get do we get Tails in an Omega onesie? Like, does he just wear some sort of Omega armor? I think I might be back in.
Yeah, sure. Tails in Omega armor. Why not?
I guess the larger issue that I'm experiencing is like, hey, in terms of Sonic Superstars itself, how into the skin aspect of this are you really gonna get? Like, it's funny to talk about Shadow being in it, but like, is that how much is that really gonna get you to go back?
I mean, for me, if they give me like new characters via skins, like if they give me a Mighty Sonic skin or something, or like I said, like Shadow and Rouge, stuff like that, that would make me go back.
Classic characters and skins would be quite awesome, I think.
But like enough to really make you go back.
Well, I mean, I do occasionally go back as it is right now. I still haven't completely finished Trip's story. I'm getting close, but I haven't. I've just been playing off and on.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna go back to Superstars once I have it on a portable device.
It's not something that's a replayable Sonic Mania. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm getting at it, because I like the game fine with a lot of caveats, but generally speaking, like, it's not. The character stuff isn't really what I'm going back for in the same way that I would some of those classic Genesis games. Like, it doesn't feel like a game that really makes you want to go back and play with each character as if it's going to be a significantly detailed different experience, because a lot of the stages were designed to keep multiple characters of different abilities together.
Well, you know me, I'm a whore when it comes to more playable characters in my Sonic games.
You sure are. I always say that about you.
So, moving on, speaking of Sonic Mania is going mobile on Netflix.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting way for this to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Netflix mobile gaming app thing they got going.
Yeah. So like Sonic Mania is coming to Netflix's mobile gaming service, which I think means it's coming to both Android and Apple. And what I find interesting about this is that Sonic Mania does have its share of mobile roots. Like it's built on the retro engine, which was originally used for those iOS ports of the classic Sonic games. Mm-hmm. And so it's a little weird to me that it took them this long to get Sonic Mania on a phone. But I am glad it's finally coming, I guess. Like, if all we're missing now is Sonic 3.
I'll say this about it. There was a discussion a little bit earlier over in the site Discord regarding the current state of Sonic Dash. And I don't know, when was the last time you picked up Sonic Dash?
A month ago, I think.
It looks like
Not 2 months ago. I play it every once in a blue moon.
It looks like they went pretty nuts with the microtransaction stuff in it, based on the screenshots that I've seen. And
never bother with that stuff, so I wouldn't know.
Sure, but I mean, they still try to put it in front of you to tell you, you could be a whale. You could spend $20 and get all of these cards.
But I don't think I've encountered that, but I don't know. Maybe I just haven't played enough to notice.
I don't know. I haven't played recently. I'm going by discussions, but basically, looking at the current state of mobile gaming, like, you can complain about the need for an Apple account or a Netflix account to play some of these games, but compared to the current free-to-play landscape, I kind of would prefer that.
Like, I can only imagine how much of a paying sign Dream Team would have been if they had to have monetized it. Oh God.
It would have been freaking miserable. Like, you can't sell a game as just a set cost for product anymore. Like, that doesn't work in the marketplace anymore, and people are just going to steal it if you do. But like, where would you inject that? And when I try to think of the answer, all of the answers to that are really miserable.
Speaking of being, like, really exploitative,
thank you, segues.
We have multiple Sonic mobile games in development, some of which will apparently use Rovio's Beacon game tools, which is apparently a set of game tools that, like, are meant to, like, build, like, super monetized mobile games.
Sure are.
apparently this is what, like, Rovio is known for now.
Yep. Sure are. Like I said, when we think of the agreement between Sega and Rovio, people are often thinking, like, well, Sega owns Angry Birds now, and the answer is a little bit more complicated than that. Sega also owns this very metrics-driven microtransaction, we'll call it platform, and it's certainly not something I'm looking forward to, but also, like I said, I don't really like the state of currently free-to-play mobile gaming to begin with, so I don't know, man.
So Sega recently, I think this was a management document that got leaked, I think, and wasn't really meant for the public, but everyone was free. It was found, and everyone was free to download it. And among the things that was revealed in it was there's going to be an expansion of Rovio IPs. So there's going to be Angry Birds IP on console, and there's going to be mutual collaborations with new and existing titles, which almost definitely means a Sonic Angry Birds collaboration.
There's going to be something at some point. We don't know what.
Oh yeah, so like we're looking at multiple new Sonic mobile games, some of which will be made with Beacon, and some of which may be crossed over with Angry Birds. So yeah, like, I guess a lot of Sonic mobile stuff happening on the horizon.
The question is, how many of these new Sonic mobile games are slightly different versions of Sonic Dash? Because we have at least like 5 of those that have existed now.
Let's see. So we had Netflix. So we had Sonic Dash, Sonic Dash 2. We have Sonic Dash Prime.
No, I'm not even talking about those. Like, it's Sonic Dash, Sonic Dash Plus, Sonic Dash Prime. There was a Japanese exclusive version of Sonic Dash for a while that was for some subscription service, and there's the arcade game. Like, I'm not even counting 2 or the Sonic Forces themed sequel.
You know, when you think about it, Sonic Prime Dash is basically Sonic Dash 3.
Except that it also is built on Sonic Dash proper.
Like, Sonic Dash has, at this point now, incorporated 2 different Sonic cartoons. That is how long it has been around.
And the movie. And the movie. 2 movies.
And and the movie, true.
Yep.
That game is... That game... How does it endure? How does it endure?
Simplicity.
Apparently. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be inevitable that something's gonna happen between Sonic and Rovio stuff. Like, they're also saying, hey, this other platform's gonna help Hatsune Miku as well, because we're not making enough Hatsune Miku money, despite the fact that Hatsune Miku is probably our most successful mobile game, I think? Something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely, it has to be up there at least.
Yeah, it's the whole presentation, well, the whole presentation thing though, like the bigger aspects of it, and one of the reasons why they are making a mobile push as they are, which based on current events might not be so wise anymore, is that they really want to get into a more globalized market with their mobile games themselves, especially China. Like, a lot of text here is sort of spent on, like, yeah, these mobile games, they're going to be great for all of these markets. Like, the mobile market is so profitable right now globally, and by globally, we mostly mean China. Yes, we'll pay some lip service to like India, that's fine, but no, we mostly mean China.
Which, India is probably going to be an emerging market, but like, of course, China recently did a big crackdown on mobile games.
Sure did. Right after this was announced, so that's great.
Which, like, by and large, and I'm not a fan of that sort of thing, but when it comes to mobile games specifically and how exploitative they are, it's probably a good thing that they did that. Like, that's the one time I might hand it to them. But let's see. Man, I'm trying to find my next news item. So
it's the Sonic 2 level stuff. I move things around.
Yeah, so we did recent. So we've been getting a lot of Sonic 2 pre-production stuff getting released in the past year, and this is like the finale for 2023. Although I'm wondering if there's more stuff for 2024, because we've had people working really hard to preserve all of this old Sonic 2 development stuff. And so this latest thing from what are they called?
Is it Cutting Room Floor?
The Video Game History Foundation.
Oh, right, yeah.
So we got two big things. We got our first look at what the Sonic 2 Winter level was going to look like. It was on an artist's video portfolio. It was basically a winter variant of of Dust Hill Zone, and so it's got like Christmas trees in the background and snow, and it was, as far as I know, it was never actually a playable level. This was like an art concept that they made, and that they made for a potential snow level. And man, I'm looking forward to fans like recreating this. Now that we have our first genuine look at it.
Someone is going to attempt it. You don't get a fan hack anymore without specifically like a Sonic 2 one, without someone being like, yeah, and I included Wood Zone. You want to play Wood Zone? And no, I've actually played Wood Zone. It's not a very good zone. It's sort of incomplete. But yeah, no, we're gonna put that in. You can't stop.
Right, pretty much.
Yeah, and of course, Sonic 2 had a bunch of these kinds of sort of cut levels, because there was at one point like a time travel component that was cut pretty early on.
That's which is surprising, considering the game directly concurrent with it, and what it was doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no wonder they took that out.
But yeah,
and another stage. Go on.
No, I was going to wrap something up. It's fine.
Oh, okay. Another stage we got to look at was Cyber City Zone, which like I don't know, it's so host Frank Savaldi and the VGAF Collective archive newly discovered concept documents, and alongside new information gathered from interviews with former Sega Technical Institute artists to help reconstruct one of the most notorious lost stages in Sonic the Hedgehog history, Cyber City Zone, aka Genocide Zone. So we also do have like a look at what that stage might have looked like, and it's it's full of spikes and stuff, and like I really do enjoy the aesthetics of these two stages. We also got a lot of art. I have not had time to dig through all this stuff. This was an article.
There is a lot of this, and it's worth. Like, what I wanted to kind of highlight is, hey, regardless if you're interested in this specific one or not, absolutely check out the work that the Video Game History Foundation does. Frank Savaldi himself was one of the former members of Retronauts, the long-running, both during and after 1UP, just built around game archival, preservation, discovery. This is a group that have done work that have basically been able to save so much documentation of game development, of game of like advertisements, of reviews of things, and just make that available to projects like, hey, some of the classic collections that have so much archival stuff in them is usually at least helped in part by the Video Game History Foundation making that stuff available to them. One of their recent projects that they have is back whenever Giant Bomb no longer had an office, they had such a buildup of these old archival videotapes that eventually Savaldi was able to get, and they are starting to add them to YouTube. So if you would like to check out a bunch of like, here's this recording of this promo video of this game from 1991 from an old VHS tape, like, that's the kind of stuff you can look for and just get a sense of like, this is what the marketing was going to be like for this. This is some of the classic footage that they had pre-release and were showing off to retailers to get them to buy for the holiday season. It's great, fascinating stuff, and I recommend checking out the work that they do. But that's not the only thing that we've got.
Yeah, another organization does really good work is Hidden Palace Zone, and they got us a Sonic Heroes PS2 prototype. So this came out just a few days ago, and the big thing here is that it gives us a rare look at what earlier Sonic Heroes development was like, and especially the issues Sonic Team was having bringing the game to PS2, because the game is significantly less stable on PS2 than than apparently a GameCube prototype. This is something that they've noted. The prototype itself is from September 28th, 2003, so about 3 months away from release.
Not that far, no.
Yeah, but apparently the PS2 version, the final release version, it was the worst version of the game, because the GameCube was like the lead platform for Sonic Heroes.
Yeah.
Right.
But Takashi Iizuka has been recorded, expressed, has said that that the multi-platform development really stressed him out.
It was the first new Sonic game that they made since the end of the Dreamcast.
Yeah, and the first truly multi-platform game.
Yeah, it was their first fully multi-platform game that came out on different systems. Well, it wasn't their first non-Sega Sonic. That was some of the Game Boy Advance games and such. But as far as multi-platform on the major releases, that was definitely the first one. PS2 was always a bit on the weaker side for some of these ports.
Yeah, it was certainly like despite it being the most popular platform, it was not the most popular platform because it was the graphics powerhouse among the three.
No,
it was the weakest. The only one weaker was the Dreamcast because it came out like 2 years beforehand. So this has everything that you would expect from this sort of build. It has a debug mode. It has like missing textures. It uses like Xbox HUD elements in multiplayer. But so yeah, like it gives us this gives us a rare look at game.
Like how fast did this game come together? Like this version of the game must have come together pretty fast.
And apparently this runs at 50 frames per second because it's
it's a PAL build. It's a PAL build. I can tell you are reading through the article as we speak.
Yeah, look, this came out during Christmas time when I was busy with other things.
But you know what's just missing Christmas time?
What's that?
The next set of Sonic Prime episodes.
January 11th. Yes.
Indeed. But we're getting something to celebrate it in March. So
we're
getting the entire series on Blu-ray.
No, we're not.
So all those
it's not the entire series?
lovers.
No, it's
all
not.
Those physical release lovers. They're getting.
Oh my god! It's just season 1.
It's just season 1. You figure it's been more than a year. Sonic Prime is getting a Blu-ray release on season 1. And
I kind of assumed it was a complete series release. It's only the first 8 episodes?
No, it's only the first 8 episodes. Now, it might eventually get a full series release, but you figure... I'm guessing that the exclusivity for some of this stuff might be like a year based on this. Like, we're running into maybe, 16 months from when it first came out. By the time we get to March, maybe a little bit less than that, 13 or 14 months is when we're getting this first set. So I'm guessing Netflix exclusivity on this particular project was somewhere in the realm of a year for them to then be able to release the other stuff on Blu-ray. But even then, Sonic what's it called? Boom didn't necessarily release as a full series either.
No, it didn't.
But that also had the excuse of being released as a linear. It had a linear release and was also legitimately multiple seasons.
Yeah.
Whereas this one's just one season they divided up.
Yeah, this one's just one season chopped up into 3 bits.
And based on what is it, Cookie Jar? Is that what the company's called? Based on what they've done with Sonic Boom.
They're called something else now, but they are.
I'm sorry, N-Circle. N-Circle is the publisher. Cookie Jar is
okay.
What another one is.
You meant the publisher, okay.
Yeah. The publisher N-Circle, based on what they have done with Sonic Boom, it would not surprise me that they would eventually put out a full series box set after all 3 series are out. So if
Blu-ray and DVD haven't completely died by then.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if
online, I'm sure.
If you're willing to wait a while, that you can eventually just get the whole season. But I would also expect that to be maybe a year or more from now, after season 3 has had a chance to be out for a year. But it also highlighted the fact that Sonic Prime as a series has technically spanned 3 years. It's it's closer to 2 years. Not even that. It's closer to maybe a year and 2 months. But somehow they made it fit 3 years.
They started in December 2022, and now they're ending in January 2024.
Yeah. So
well, yeah, I can see where you can say.
The IMDb page can technically say 2022 through 2024.
Sure can. But yeah, and apparently a lot of people are watching it. A lot of people are watching.
82.1 million hours were watched in the first half of 2023, even though that does not encompass the premiere of either Part 1 or Part 2.
It is entirely. You mean Part 2 and Part 3?
No, like Part 1 was December, so it missed that as well. Like this period recorded is between Part 1 and Part 2.
Right. It's basically, hey, these are just people watching Season 1 after, like, a month after release.
So it's the first half of 2023. Didn't Season 2 come in, like, July?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, so it would not
include... so this is just Season 1.
Yep.
So once Netflix releases the second half of 2023, we'll have an idea of how that performed.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, if you're gonna... There's a lot of stuff on Netflix, so for you to be at, like, 137, and probably pretty reasonably affordably so, that's not bad. There's not a whole lot of kids' content that passes that. Like, once you get to that point, the only stuff you're really doing worse than are, like, hey, here's a couple of seasons of Paw Patrol, here's a couple seasons of Cocomelon, and that's kind of it.
Say Cocomelon.
Yeah, like... It's honestly doing pretty well from them as far as I can tell, like, in the context of what...
It did twice as well as Inside Job.
Yeah. That came out a while ago, I thought.
It came out... The final season came out a month before Prime.
Ah, okay. Well, then that's a little bit disappointing, then. But yeah, also, hey... There's a lot of stuff on Netflix. There are other shows that charted reasonably.
Including other Sonic shows, which, aside from Sonic Boom, which I think did decently as well, although not nearly as well as this, but like honestly, everything else is just like getting views in the thousands.
It's honestly pretty close, my dude. Like, it's... If you combine Season 1 and Season 2 of Sonic Boom, it's maybe 50 million. It's somewhere in the range of, like, 50 to 55 million hours. So it's still, like, you know, tens of millions less, but it's still
so like, I got to mention that, like, Sonic Prime and the movies and all that stuff is getting people, like, check out some other Sonic stuff. At least the newer stuff.
Yeah, it probably has, like, done additional recommendations. Sonic X didn't quite hit as hard, like... it was available dubbed with all 3 seasons, but I'm sorry, no. For Sonic X, it's only Season 1 and Season 2. They do not have Season 3. But they did a couple million. Like, Season 1 was 9.5 million, and Season 2, hey, you know what? For all the people that are like, yeah, Season 2, they remake all those Sonic games. Yeah, Season 2 is only at 3.7 million comparatively.
Speaking of Sonic X, Sonic Triple X, Sonic ranked number 6 on Pornhub's most popular video game characters in 2023.
Oh,
this was another Dreadnought story, and this is not a story I would have personally done, but you know, you know, he's the boss. He can do the more risque stuff.
It's not a story that I probably would have done, if only because I didn't think he would want me to do it, but it is the type of story that I would want to do.
So, I don't know if there's anything else to discuss here. Okay, so Sonic there's right between...
There is something here to discuss, and it's that people don't know what game series Chun-Li is from. Fortnite. That's probably the biggest thing to discuss immediately.
So what I find interesting is that Sonic is the highest rated male character on Pornhub.
Yeah, he's like number 7, I think. Yeah, like everyone above him.
Sonic is number 6, Mario is number 9.
Yeah, but the ones above him are like...
Fortnite.
Yeah. But the ones above him... Aside from Chun-Li, which to me is a curveball, I don't know.
It could be they're using, like, a model of Chun-Li from Fortnite because she is in the game or something?
It's all of this is not search results, Jason. All of this is the things people have searched for. Like these are what people have searched for and what they are considered it. So like a lot of them are what you would expect from the internet. It's like, hey, Tifa's there.
There's a lot
hey,
of
Diva's
Overwatch.
there. Laura Croft,
Laura Croft, and
Lady
really
Dimitrescu.
tall lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil 8,
and a bunch of Genshin Impact characters, some more Fortnite stuff.
Oh yeah, I remember when Resident Evil.
This is one area where
came out in
Genshin Impact. Let's just enjoy that for a second.
People salty over the Game Awards from 2022. You have been vindicted. People are hornier for Sonic on Pornhub than they are for Genshin Impact.
For Sonic than they are for Genshin Impact and Mario.
Now, admittedly,
Mario's number 2 for the main characters. Like, come on.
Now, unfortunately, in terms of video games themselves, Sonic did not even chart as a series.
What'd you say?
Unfortunately, as Sonic as a series itself did not chart. Like, in terms of series, it's Fortnite, Overwatch, Minecraft, Pokemon. Apparently, people are into the Atomic Heart sexy robots or something. Somewhere down the line.
I'm not surprised.
This upsets me most of all. Somewhere down the...
some people...
No. What upsets me is that Detroit Become Human is on the list. That I am not okay with that. I'm okay with Sims 4 being on the list. Detroit Become Human is something else.
Right between Lady Dimitrescu and Ada Wong.
Yeah, it's...
I'm surprised at how low Samus Aran is on the list.
Samus needs a new game. Like... She needs to be in some
new game, 2021. Metroid Dread. It was awesome.
Yeah, but she didn't get to be Zero Suit in that one.
Oh,
I'm not surprised at the tall lady on Resident Evil because when that game came out, there was so much social media about her. People were just getting really horny over her.
So yeah, hey Sonic fan community, everything that people say about you and horniness now has verifiable data. So congrats.
But let's remember, Mario is not too far behind.
Yeah, also true. I'm surprised Mario himself. I don't know.
Like, I don't understand Sonic, like this 3-foot-tall, furry creature with gigantic
Basically
eyes.
a blue Mickey Mouse. There's nothing sexy about him at all.
I don't know, like... I guess the Sonic community can be pretty horny, so I guess I'm not that surprised. I just don't get it.
But yeah,
hey, we talked about Pornhub on Sonic Talk.
Perfect.
Thanks, Ben.
Now let's talk about toys. No, not that kind of toy.
I mean, I guess you could use
most popular sex toys of 2023 include
Mephiles, who's very pointy and sharp.
God. Oh no!
So the first item we have is one that just came in today. Mephiles and a bunch of other Sonic toys I don't care about, are out, or at least some people have them in hand now. Mephiles looks pretty cool in my opinion, albeit also very scaly. And we also have a bunch of leaked listings for other Jack-specific games. I'm trying to.
I'm assuming you mean.
Well, I think it was. I don't think it's. Wait, did I say games?
You said games. So
okay,
yeah.
I meant
a bunch
toys.
of Jack-specific figures are coming out. There's several different lines that
There's something called Go-Go Racer playset, which I have no idea what that could be. Features Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy in their modern forms. Like, I got to imagine maybe it's some sort of racing set, I don't know, Micro Machines or something, or
possibly they've done sets like this before. Like they announced a bunch of Badniks, they announced a bunch of the classic characters, the modern characters. For me, my money is on, and I haven't kept up with the Jack specific stuff. I just don't. I don't have the space. I don't have the money. I don't have the interest in getting all of those.
I don't because they never have anything.
But what they have that I might have to get is it looks like they're starting to put out hard-boiled heavies, and those might be a have to get for me.
Let's see. So the hard-boiled heavies. Which one? Oh yeah, it was Ball-Ho. So we got Caterkiller coming, Ed Robo, and Ball-Ho.
Yeah, Ball-Ho is like the
why is he on the
pig in
Pornhub
Sonic
list?
one.
Along with Vector the Crocodile, and they're all getting 2.5-inch figures.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, yeah, I like the one I was really be interested in. Like, I don't know if they could figure out how to get the one that's
fit well for a 2.5-inch figure.
If they could,
that's just how the line is.
Figure out how to like get the heavy that like Reich's Motobug, like get the Motobug to go. Like that might get me interested. I don't know. So the third set, we don't know much about that one. It's gonna have it's gonna be a bunch of 5-inch figures. It's Sonic and Shadow and some unknown characters. And there's the fourth and final leaked set. It's a wave of 4-inch figures. It's going to have a re-release of Amy with a yellow emerald, Silver the Hedgehog, and new metal with wand. Which I have.
That's
no
my
idea
favorite
what
character. I love new metal with wand.
Maybe that's like, I think, did one of the Egg Robos have a wand? The hard-boiled heavies?
No, they were she was a magician, but I don't know if she actually had a wand. It could be anything. Like, wand could just be the way that, like, you manipulate it or something. I don't know. But yeah, what are we missing so far? Like, what is the character that we still need other than Danica Patrick?
I mean, like, obviously, I would love to just start getting, what's the word? I would love to start getting IDW figures. Like,
you stole the words out of my mouth. Yeah, I'd love to see Surge and Tangle and Whisper and some of the others.
Well,
let's do Dadanpa. And let's see. We need Fang. We really need Fang.
Can I get an
at least Trip, could see she's been in a video game recently.
Oh, that's actually a pretty good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get a 3-pack of
that's
Eggman
one that's
Trip.
actually possible.
Yeah, Eggman, Trip, and Fang, and that'd be a pretty good trio of sets altogether.
Alternatively, we could have Trip released on her own, and our trio could be Fang, Bean, and Bark.
You could.
I really want my Bean and Bark toys.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten either of those as a GFE plush yet. Or GE plush. Great Eastern Entertainment. Yeah. That seems like the thing they would have at least done before they would have done Dodon Pa. But here we are. This is the world we live in.
So, moving on to the final 2 news items, which covers 2 sets of ugly characters being immortalized in plastic. First up is the Funko Pops.
I didn't know you felt that way about Knuckles. I always assumed you liked Knuckles.
Even Knuckles is ugly as a Funko Pop. The Funko Pops are bad. They are ugly, and this is something that we all agree on. But for whatever reason, they are still being made, and more importantly, for our purposes, we're still getting Sonic toys
from time to time.
I was about to say, Jason, you're the one that owns them. I'm surprised we don't hear you piping in either in defense or just saying, I don't care.
Yeah, I really don't care what you feel about them. I know they're kind of ugly, but there's some that I still like. I don't consider myself a collector. I don't buy them all. Just the ones I like.
I wouldn't see how you could buy them all. They really still goddamn many.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you would go for a series or something.
Like, if I were really desperate for a toy of Supersonic, I must admit, I might have gone for these, but thankfully we have other better options now.
Yes.
So we got Supersonic, we've got Eggman, and we've got Metal Sonic and Amy. And Metal Sonic probably looks the least hideous because he like has the least weird proportions, and he like has actual, pupils.
Like Eggman in theory seems okay, but the way that they kind of had to reshape his head to fit within the structure of a Funko Pop is very unsettling.
Yeah, it's weird. It does kind of remind me of
It's a
those
bit of a square head.
TikTok shorts, Sonic and Friends a little bit, but like I think the head still doesn't look that weird.
Oh, now I would buy figures of those. I would
actually
absolutely get a set of Sonic and
Oh, they
Friends.
already sell the plushes that look exactly like them.
Oh, but I want them in like a 3D plastic form, like not the flat plush. Like all the plush that they have of those are like weird and flat. No, I want a proper like 3D version of it.
And finally, we have more Bricks Heads figures coming, which those big Funko Pop looking things, except they're Legos, so you have to build them. And it's Knuckles and Shadow, the two best Sonic characters.
I'll say this, like they're not too expensive and they're not too big, and at the end of the day, you can take them apart and make them into other things or like swap their body parts. Like if you want to give Knuckles' Shadow's head or vice versa, you could do it. Lego's not going to stop you.
Yeah, I could do that. I could just take Knuckles, put him on Shadow's body. It'd be weird, but
yeah, my nephews got them for me for Christmas. I have yet to build them though.
Though that these things look so ugly does kind of take away some of the novelty of that, though.
I am not a fan of them. Like, I'm not going to be too inflammatory because I am inflammatory about them on a regular basis, but no, yeah, I don't especially like the Brickheads line. It does feel very Funko Pop, and I just do not care for the aesthetic that they're going for with it.
And with that, our news discussion is concluded, and we get to move on to all of the other stuff that's happened.
Jesus. What we need is a new Sonic game releasing.
So this first thing is just going to be me and Shigs, because we get more out of this sort of thing than GX does, and it is the Project Shadow fan film. Now, like we talked about this a bit in the last show, the trailer, the really impressive special effects, and my God, in the final film, are those special effects? These special effects really impressive? Like, wow!
Yeah, for a fan project, this is amazing.
I am
shocked at how well that looks.
Space Colony Arc itself looks great. The hallways, the rooms look good. The props look all the CG. I assume there's CG. Props look good. I think Shadow looks great.
I will have less to say about this than everyone else because I did not watch the full thing, but I will say when you stack it up against some of the other like bigger, higher profile fan films surrounding Sonic, this one, aesthetically speaking, is doing the most and the best.
I mean,
it's smart enough that it's just staying with the original material for the telling of Shadow's origins without straying at all.
In many ways, it kind of does it better than the movies do because it uses like actual in-game locations. It makes the characters look reasonably close to the video game counterparts without being overly what's the word? Overly accurate, like Professor Gerald with like the video game mustache and nose. If they wanted to use prosthetics, that would have been just weird. But the Professor Gerald that they actually got, he looks good. He's a good Professor Gerald. And Maria, like maybe a little older than
on the older side,
what I'd
expect. They do that
regardless,
because you need a proper actress for that.
Yeah, like honestly. I'm going to force myself to be critical for a moment. Like, the biggest issue is that the story is kind of thin because it's not very long. It's about 30 minutes. It's about like 26 minutes, I think, not counting credits and stuff.
That's longer than I expected, honestly. That's a lot longer than I expected.
It's all just Shadow's origins and such.
Yeah, it's Shadow's origin story. Maria doesn't get too much, but like Shadow himself gets a lot. Like, you know, they talk about his motivations, you know, what he wants. This is the first thing that I've seen that really goes into Shadow's original purpose, which was on one side he's a weapon, on the other side he's being made to heal Maria, and as they say in the movie, heal humanity. And like it's what you'd expect from a Shadow origin story. You know, it's not especially like lighthearted or anything. It's a little on the dark side for a Sonic thing, but it doesn't go too far in that direction either. You know, it's not like overly edgy. Like, we have a moment where Shadow holds a gun and he contemplates shooting a gun soldier, but he doesn't, because, you know, he hasn't gone through his 2005 edgy phase yet. And so, like, totally, it's something that I feel like could probably work in like the Sonic movie universe, like if they were just willing to be a little more serious. But like, so I think it does do a decent job hitting the emotional beats and needs to. Because among the things it does well, the Shadow CG animation does really good acting. Like, the animation for Shadow is spectacular. It could very easily be, at the very least, like high-end TV quality, if not movie quality, as I see it.
And what's impressive is that character's the focal point through the whole thing. I mean, he's pretty much almost in every scene.
Yeah, we never really have
that movie quality CGI Shadow.
We never really have a moment where it's like, okay, we need to save on budget, let's go to the wedding. You know,
right?
We never have that moment. I mean, of course, again, it's 30 minutes long, but it's also a fan film, so like, you know, it's not going to have a massive budget to begin with. So my one regret is I watched the English version, and so the acting for the characters is for some of the characters can be a little weird, but I don't know how much of that was just me being off-put by English talking over what is clearly like Portuguese lip flaps, you know? And I really wanted to watch the Portuguese version as well after I watched the dub, but I guess didn't have time and didn't get around to it. But from what little I've heard of the Portuguese version, the acting in that is very good. And so like I do personally recommend checking out both. And so like and Mike Pollock. So one of the humorous things that they do in this movie is when they are introducing Shadow's air shoes, Gerald Robotnik puts together a little commercial, and it's voiced by Mike Pollock. And he puts together a little commercial for them.
That part didn't make much sense outside of needing to have a little humor to.
I mean, it was movie. Exposition. It was a way to do exposition for the shoes. And like, I don't know, it's just like, as someone who will like just do dumb little projects like that when I was a kid for myself or for family, it makes sense to me. It was just explaining to Shadow, hey, this is what your new shoes do. So yeah, fun fan film, really well done. Check it out. So, moving on to what is going to be the primary discussion here. IDW. So it's been a while since we've really discussed this. So we have like 4 issues to go through, but we're gonna treat them 5 issues to go through, but we're gonna treat them as at least the 2-parter is just one story. So 65 and 66, we have the Babylon Rogues stealing an idol from Knuckles, and we have Rough and Tumble doing a home break-in at Cream's. And this was a cute story.
These are going on at the same time.
Yeah,
just two different stories kind of at the same time. They tie in right at the end.
It's the cute story.
It's kind of makes it fun. Yeah,
it was fun seeing the chaotics. The chaotics are always a hoot in this comic. You were gonna say something?
That's what I have to say about most of these is that it was a fun story. They're definitely not deep stories for the last few ones. They've been
I
pretty low stakes stuff.
I think my reaction to it thus far has largely been like, hey, of all the characters that I would want to see a own spin-off series for, it's going to be the Diamond Cutters. But if I ever get that and have a second choice, my second choice is going to be just a Chaotix only series, because it is amusing. Yeah.
The Chaotix out of all of the game casts, they are the characters that just kind of work best as themselves without any kind of like, larger storyline to attach them to. Like the Chaotix, they're just really fun to hang around with. Like they have great personalities.
You can see them having their own like single story adventures and stuff.
Well, I think what works so well with them is they're not going to be Sonic tier. Like, they're not going to be going after Dr. Robotnik, and that's the point of this whole thing. They're going to have, like, the second-tier villains, and IDW has some pretty good second-tier villains.
Yeah, like Clutch.
Clutch is great.
Clutch,
I freaking
Tumble,
adore
Babylon Rogues.
Yeah, it's like, these are characters that I would like to see more of, and the fact that, yeah, they do fightin'. They are very good at fighting, and they do fun fights like against the Babylon Rogues, like you said. That was solid. It was presenting the Babylon Rogues as, the thing that they are, thieves for hire, and getting to have
semi-competent thieves.
And getting to see more...
Not fully competent thieves, semi-competent.
Yeah, well, look, if anyone represents semi-competent as a descriptor, it's definitely Jet. Like IDW Jet is legitimately my favorite portrayal of him ever, because he just kind of sucks. And it's great.
Yeah, he's a punk, and I do love him, and so like getting them and the Chaotix together in an arc just made this so fun. And then we had like
it's the appeal of like those Batman series where it's not about the A-list characters, it's all about the B-list characters.
Mm-hmm. But what I really would love for IDW to finally get is just a Sonic Universe type storyline, because then we could have stuff like this more often without like taking long breaks from the main cast.
At least have that instead of the dumb like, hey, here's our one-off with 4 micro stories themed around the holidays. Like, I don't know if those actually sell. Like, am I off the mark here? And that's actually a bit.
I just know decision? I really liked Winter Jam. It's one of my favorite stories this year. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
Winter Jam is definitely the best of the holiday ones.
And so we also had Cream and was it General trying to deal with she's just tasked with overseeing Vanilla's cooking, because she's cooking for Vector. Vector really wants to get to this dinner with Vanilla, because Sega's actually kind of allowing them to kind of slightly push we're interested in each other, and so like she has to go get some butter for a sauce, and so she leaves Cream to take care of the food for a bit, and while that's happening, Rough and Tumble break in, and thinking that the house is empty, and then they spend like the rest of their story. Because apparently
they are just petty thieves now or something? I don't know.
I mean, I guess when they're not working for Clutch, yeah.
It's a weird thing. I don't think the addition of Rough and Tumble in this one was especially great, but the MVP is the dynamic. The MVP for me is the dynamic between Cream and Jamerl. Like IDW's done a pretty solid job, like having a decent dynamic between those two, making Jamerl like a character that fits in that household, which is weird to think about, but
he sex tables. It is very cute. But like this does kind of highlight one of IDW's issues, where like, I mean, I do agree the Rough and Tumble don't really bring much to this, but that's because, well, while IDW's B villains are generally pretty good, we still don't have that many of them. So if you want to like have petty thieves, your options are basically rough and tumble, and I guess that's it, because Babylon
They don't even
Rogues
get really
like
punished for the for the crime. Vanilla just gives them a death stare. They apologize,
so
and then they all
weird.
share Chinese food.
Like they're
They
like
do a
the end.
break-in, they ruin the food, they assault a child. Well, sort of. They assault the food that she's holding, which I guess is
Mhm.
which I guess makes that a little less bad. Then she has lets them
They
stay
make
for
her cry.
I like at this point they are just full on scratching grounder. Like it's
Yeah,
not
more or
that
less.
like either
Yeah.
scratching grounder or like a sleeting dingo or something.
Like they are the lowest of the low tier villains, and I really would like us to have just a few more villains like that. But they, at the very least, they do fill the role well most of the time, I think.
Oh, like can
So,
you imagine can you imagine a level of bad of like low grade villain of just having a Wes Weasley type character or like a like just mining that if we could only mine the adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog again for the sake of the IDW series in the way that we did in late
maybe
stage
one
Archie.
day. Maybe one day. But
Maybe one day.
so like the whole thing with Cream and the rough and tumble gets resolved when they make her cry and they feel bad about it. And then Vanilla comes in. And like just I guess they just decide they're not gonna do the break-in anymore. Because she just looks very, I don't know, like Adam Bryce Thompson makes her look very threatening.
Yeah.
And it just ends with the chaotics arrive and they order Chinese.
Yeah.
Or whatever, I guess Chunanese? I don't know, whatever the Sonic version of that
You don't
is.
have to put that much thought into it. You don't need to justify their canon.
That is what I'm gonna do. That's how my brain works. So moving on to what I would consider the best of the mainline issues that we've gotten in a while. Issue 67, we have Surge and Kit joining the Restoration, and I love Surge and Kit. I love Surge. She's great, and Kit too. But Surge really is the star of the duo, and like she is just having so much fun. Like taking Sonic up on his offer that she can be good whenever she wants, and like everyone knows, yeah, so we don't trust her. She knows they don't trust her. Like this is a mutual distrust, but like they're just gonna deal with this anyway because that is just how the Restoration and Sonic specifically work. So they let her join their heroic organization, and this is all part of a plot by Clutch to get more of his own people inside the organization because he plans to steal it somehow. Which I'm really liking this plot line at the moment. This because for one, it feels like a plot line that could actually have some payoff, which is not something you always get with IDW. And two, it's just like I'm left wondering, like, what exactly is he gonna do? What's gonna happen? How's this all gonna play out? It's the kind of thing I wish IDW could do more often.
Now, one thing I still find frustrating about this story is that Mimic should have been exposed by now by the easiest thing of just removing his gloves, and then boom, that's it.
Again, we don't even know Whisper knows that's the weakness of his because he's always wearing his gloves. So that's not really something I pay any mind to. And also, if that did happen, then this entire plot line would fall apart. And I like this plot line, so I don't want that to happen. But so like yeah, like just seeing Surge interact with all of the heroes in this fashion is just so awesome. I just love how it's written. Ian Flynn does such a good job with her. And I forget who drew this, but the artist also did a really good job with Kit, who was mostly silent, was just constantly glaring at everyone.
Yeah, he is not happy to be there. I think this is a
Yeah,
plan that she came up with that he does not like.
yeah, and so like I'm just really digging this whole thing that they're doing. And what my hope is that like they let this play out for a while longer, at least issue 75, and we get at least one storyline where Surge, Kit, and Mimic are all go on a mission with the rest of the Diamond Cutters. Just a one mission. That's all I'm asking for, IDW. Because give me that, and then you can have the big betrayal happen.
Well, as soon as they do the mission, they're going to try to backstab them.
No, like no backstabbing. It has to be a mission where there's no backstabbing, where Surge and Kit, they do what they're supposed to do, and there's that underlying distrust, that underlying tension between everyone. And Surge like does and Surge follows along. She does what she's supposed to do, and like there's a little bit of trust gained there. And then like after that, then we can have the big betrayal. Like I just want to see how these characters work together once, because we're never gonna get this again. At least not unless like Kit and Surge go good. GX, do you have anything to say on this? I've kind of been dominating the conversation.
I mean, the actual thing is like, hey, again, I think their B level villains are great. I think Sonic absolutely as a series needs more of them. Instead of just a bunch of world-ending monsters that we have a cavalcade of, a surplus of. I think it's cool. I enjoy the intrigue aspect of it. It's honestly some of the stuff that I, liked back in Archie. Just the sort of subterfuge, the ways that, we're still dealing with a lot of subplots here that they're setting up, and we can kind of start to see where they might be aligning, because we're still got the Silver subplot hanging in the background, and the way that it's sort of mixing together with the Clean Sweep company subplot, and the way that this isn't hey, giant robot Eggman times. This is like, no, we've got problems in our organization type of situation.
Yeah,
it's like,
it kind of sucks that with IDW, the comics kind of acts worse when it's just the game characters versus Eggman. Which is like, which is like, that's the main conflict of Sonic, and the comics acts worse when that happens. So that's kind of a problem.
I might argue that it is a weakness of the game series as well. I don't know, like
sure, but
yeah, like I don't think I like stories with Eggman. I don't think that every Sonic story needs to be either directly or indirectly about Eggman. I think that having a more interesting cast, or like a more diverse cast, is not a flaw that they probably should have. Like the alternative is it's either Eggman or it's a bunch of monsters, and I feel like there's room for some sort of middle ground.
Or the Deadly Six, which I do think are better in IDW than the games. But that was the thing with Archie, is that like you didn't just have Eggman. You could have a whole story arc focused on Mammoth Mogul. You could have a whole story arc focused on Enerjack. You have a whole story arc focused on Scourge. Like we had like a 6-issue arc all about Scourge and Anti-Mogis, and one of the best story arcs in the comic. And like by and large, IDW doesn't seem to really like to do that. At least not in the main book.
Yeah, that's like IDW's biggest problem. Is everything's kind of low stakes, and the world just feels so small. They're not even expanding the video game visited worlds. They can't even give you Station Square to be around.
Yeah. But
I kind of noticed it's kind of weird. I'm thinking this must be a new Sega edict or something in our post Sonic Unleashed world. But whenever I am looking through, and I know we haven't gotten to Sonic Winter Jam yet. But for Eggman watching all of the TV, they do not show one human character at any point.
Yeah, like Ian Flynn has said
Yeah,
that
this
Sega is
is
having no human
so
role for
weird.
a while now. And
it's funny that they made
But then
up
they
a
have Tails
rule.
Tube, and they have Tails Tube, and they say,
Yeah,
okay, humans exist, but they're on cities, and the animal people are in islands.
they made up their own rule to justify it, and then it's like, well, we don't actually use that rule. We just use it to justify that these other games happen, but no, we're never going back to there. And even whenever they go to other cities with people, it's bizarre.
I think yes, but yeah, like Spagonia was weird. But regardless, Flynn has hinted at that they might be loosening on that rule a bit, but that was like I think a year ago now, and they still happened. So I don't know. Maybe they backtracked or something. But Sega, we're okay with humans. We just didn't want only humans. Okay.
I get having a vision, but the problem is you can't both have that vision and then emphasize how much of the series is canon, because like having a canon means using a canon, and using a canon means using the things that you have, using the pieces that you have established in the world.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm hopefully like maybe after 75 or something that rule will finally get changed. But anyway,
who knows?
So moving on.
Yeah, I think even the Sonic Japanese fan art has you decide, do you want Professor Pickle in this particular scenario thing, Yeah, when they have votes for the fan art?
They don't follow any of the rules in that thing. Like, it's very clear that Japan doesn't care about Japan's own choices. Japan just seems to care very much about America's choices. America cannot ruin our wonderful Sonic series. As we continue to union bust them.
Right.
So GX, anything else to say about 67?
I mean, I wasn't planning on going issue by issue on my thoughts, but it's fine. Like I'm looking forward to the underlying stories of this stuff. I'm not as much looking forward to like the moment to moment. Hey, this is a weird story about these two characters going on a tiny adventure.
All right. Well, I'm just making sure because we discussed 60.
You have two characters going on a very tiny adventure. Before we get into Winter Jam.
Yes. So moving on to 68. 68 just came out like yesterday. I guess read today, and it is probably like the weakest mainline comic I have read in this series in a while.
This is a nothing burger.
Like basically nothing happens. Sonic and Tails go into a cave. They're testing out some extreme gear, and they're looking for a Chaos Emerald.
They get an emerald. That's kind of the thing. Like
they find this underground ecosystem. They find
get a Chaos Emerald that the giant salamanders protecting.
Salamander.
Yeah.
Like the two things I could possibly say.
Salamander's protecting the environment. That's why it's trying to eat Sonic, and so he just gets on Tails' extreme gear, and that's it.
Like this is the kind of thing that you. This is the kind of thing that you would just have as the small B story in a comic that you would, have other things fill out. Like the only thing of meaningful consequence of this is between this and Winter Jam. All we really know is that they have 2 emeralds, but also you can tell me at any point that they have X number of emeralds and I would believe you, because it's not something I care or keep track of.
Yeah, and like
exactly.
I don't know if them getting the Chaos Emeralds again is going to lead up to anything or mean anything, but regardless, it's good that they're doing smaller stories. Like most of what we've read have been smaller stories, and they've been good. But that'd be smaller stories with some kind of hook,
Yeah, have some meat to it at least.
Yeah, and like this just doesn't have that. It kind of reminds me of the Halloween story, which it's another one that just kind of felt like a nothing burger.
For me, it's not even that like it's an issue. It's not an issue that they can't have the small story. It's just that, like you said, this year we had that small story. We had the Halloween small stories. We had the 900 Adventure small story. We had the Endless Summer small story thing. We've got other ones peppered in among that. And it just feels like, it doesn't feel like they have a strong momentum right now. And all that within the context that they're going to absolutely kill the momentum as we move into only releasing the Fang miniseries.
Yeah, like it's going on a 4-month break, and like so the last thing we got was Sonic and Tails going into a cave and getting chased by a salamander, and I like after what happened in '67, it just kind of I feel a little blue balled, you know, it's just you had this cool stuff set
at
up,
least
and you
if
didn't
you're
do
going to
anything with it.
stop. If you're going to stop and go to this Fang miniseries, at least give us a nice cliffhanger to keep us anticipating for when the series returns.
Planned as a cliffhanger, to be fair. Like I'm sure that in the mix of production, like it wasn't always planned they were going to be going on a 4-month break. Because among other things, like the current editor for IDW Sonic is stepping down. Like he is going doing something else. David Merry. That was actually supposed to be a news item I was supposed to do. I completely forgot.
Jeez.
But David Marionette is retiring from IDW Sonic and going to work somewhere else.
Well, this is probably a bad time for a shakeup over there.
Like IDW has been having some issues, but
IDW's been having a lot of issues. If you don't recall, they had major layoffs over in April.
Yeah.
Like really big financial
arrested.
issues from some of their divisions.
So Sonic must be a hot property for them, because they have so many different holiday specials and one-offs in one year. Well, this is all happening.
What's honestly kind of weird and surprising is I think back to, of all things, Archie, and like the type of ship that Archie had to be running in order to produce as many books as they were in regard to like the Sonic and Sonic Universe and Mega Man stuff at the time, on top of like, hey, just publishing, Archie. And when I compare that in my head to like what IDW does, now IDW has a much wider variety of books that they publish, like between Ninja Turtle stuff, like I can't remember if they still have Transformers and G.I. Joe and other stuff like that.
They lost like a bunch of licenses, like
Transformers. They don't have Transformers and G.I. Joe anymore now.
Gotcha.
I thought they were going to double down on Sonic with actual new series, which hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird that they haven't doubled down on it. I feel like that seems like the one space where they probably could. And maybe there's still plans to do that in some way, and they can't get there quite yet because either the bureaucracy of having to work with Sega is much more intense than it would have been in the Archie days, with them having to translate and send comics up each time. But I don't know if it's any different than them releasing so many seasonal specials either. Like, I'm just scanning.
Like I said, last show, I think for a while they were doing just basically effectively 2 issues a month for a while.
Like I'm looking at my Kindle right now, and I have them all in order. Yeah, and it's like, okay, numbered issue, Winter Jam, numbered issue, Halloween, numbered issue, 900th Adventure, numbered issue, Endless Summer, and then finally we get back to an actual run of numbered issues for like 6 months until we get to the Tales 30th anniversary thing. It's kind of nuts.
So, Winter Jam, the final one shot that they released this year. Also, probably my favorite one shot. It's just
out of the holiday ones, this one was the best one. It had some good humor to it in parts.
Look, it had the most important characters that the series needs absolutely more of.
Do you mean Barry?
No, I mean Orbot and Cubot. You know what I mean, man. You know what I mean.
I know.
Not just Cubot, but Cubot with scotch taped on eyebrows, which is a power move for Cubot.
And an announcer's voice.
Oh yes, it was dumb, but it was dumb
so
in
the whole premise of this comic is that Dr. Eggman is just like obsessed with watching reality TV. Presumably,
like cooking bake-offs and competitions and stuff.
Yeah,
this is something I can actually relate to. Yeah, it's something I can relate to because my sister-in-law watches a lot of like holiday bake-off shows and stuff around Halloween and Christmas.
And he's watching these to try to like hatch like new plans, coming up with new schemes, watching these shows, and like Orbot and Cubot just like they hate this because all this work is piling up that they have to do because Dr. Robotnik is too busy watching reality TV. And so what they end up doing is they put together a winter-themed game show and they kidnap the Sonic cast.
Yeah, in their boredom, they're more effective than they've ever been.
You know what?
They kidnapped the entire cast.
You know what this gave me? I was gonna say, you know what this gave me vibes of?
Sonic Boom?
This is a very Sonic Boom style issue.
Like the way, like I'll go into one reason why I thought that in a minute, but like, but one thing I really love about this is that the only reason they were able to like keep these characters in here was because like they were able to come up with an incentive to keep Omega from just blowing holes into the walls with like, you know, we will present a new Badnik that you all can destroy. Because like obviously the Cubot and Orbot, they can't actually contain these characters. But okay, so they put together like a bunch of competitions and winter themed competitions. And what basically ends up happening is like every pair of the characters are divided up into pairs, sort of, you know, Amy and Cream, Big and Froggy, Rouge and Omega, Sonic and Tails. They couldn't get Knuckles or Shadow because, you know, they couldn't. And so they start putting them through the competitions, and like Cream and Amy make one, win one. Like Cream makes this really gross looking jello that's full of all of the leftovers from the food Amy made, and Amy seems very disgusted by that. and one of the running jokes that I really enjoy.
The one I love about this
losing.
Yeah, Sonic keeps losing every single thing, and he keeps having a mental breakdown over it. Like, goes, oh, but I went fast. I went fast. This should have worked.
And it gets progressively worse with each event.
Okay. Another one of GX's patented. This is a direction for the series that needs to go. I think Sonic, based on Sonic being a 90s cool character, I think Sonic should suck more as a character.
Yes, he does.
As a person.
What tells me about this comic is that he sucks more. You don't get to see him fail like this very often. It was consistent. It just felt like something that would happen in Sonic Boom, where like stuff like that can just kind of happen. But so like ultimately, like eventually they run them through a bunch of. There's like a competition montage, and for the final competition, Sonic and Tails managed to carve this gorgeous statue of them together, only for it to crumble. And like Amy and the other teams are like working at just hacking away at the ice cubes, but then like Froggy, whom Big is just holding, just fires a laser out of his eyes and creates this ice sculpture of Dr. Eggman, with his muscular body, just laying all sexily on the ice. And that's when the whole scheme begins to fall apart, because they realize Froggy is the Badnik.
Yeah, it's not the real Froggy.
Yeah.
Basically.
It was strange. It was nonsensical. I appreciate those aspects of it. And like I said, it definitely had some Sonic Boom vibes. And, you know, part of that was because of Orbot and Cubot. Part of that was because they kind of cranked the characters up to 11 a bit, which is what Sonic Boom did, what it did well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like,
the
the
one.
only character
It's got the one thing that
that
the
gets out of
other
Amy.
holiday specials didn't have, which was like an element of fun, an element of humor.
Yeah. Like, that's something, like I said, one of my big issue with the Halloween comic was just that it felt like, a very special episode. Like the kids learn a lesson. But, that this didn't have that issue.
No, nobody learns anything in this one. In many cases, people probably forgot
Well,
most of
Eggman learns something. Eggman learns that no, reality TV is bad for you, and he deletes all of it off of his petabytes of
he has
petabyte-sized hard drive. Or whatever.
He has a button that is actually reading delete literally everything, and that did give a chuckle out of me.
So Eggman learns a lesson, and everyone else gets to play in the snow, even though it is canonically established that they are still in an endless summer, because time cannot pass in Sonic.
Now, I mean, we are still technically pre-Frontiers, whatever that means. I'm wondering how long we will need to live in a pre-Frontiers world until they release whatever comes next.
Yeah, I'm like, what's with the Sega thing? They don't even have Sage in the comic yet.
I'm guessing they have I mean, it still plays into the idea that, like, I get the impression that they're gonna do something after Frontiers. Like, I don't know if it's gonna be as dramatic as I would want it to be, but I have to imagine that they're at least going to make some sort of meaningful change about it, and IDW is just going to have to sort of live in this pre-Frontiers space until we get to whatever that is.
Man, that's gonna be annoying. But yeah, I guess that would make sense. Like, if they're gonna like do some sort of status quo shift after Frontiers, then they probably wouldn't want IDW exploring that until the next game is out. So yeah,
I mean,
I do want to say that the writer for this story is Yasmin Omar Atta, which I believe is a new name for Sonic, at least not one I'm familiar with, and that's one reason why I think this comic had a very unique vibe to it, was because it was a new writer. Hope she gets more work. I hope they get more work on this.
Actually, I'll make another comparison that might be more apt, and I think the second point of comparison I could probably point to is the Team Sonic Racing animated short. It had those kind of vibes as well.
Yeah, I can see that, because the characters also do get that is primarily like a comedy.
Yeah.
And so one quick final thing before we wrap up. Tails Soup had a Christmas special. It had basically no lore in it. It just had characters giving gifts, and it was cute, and y'all should watch it. I don't know if Shigs has anything to say about that, but I just wanted to at least acknowledge it.
One thing I noticed in this special, at the very end, Shadow comes along. He finds a present from Tails that's like a winter scarf. Yeah, and then there's two pieces of official Sega art, one's from Sonic Channel, one from something else, where he's wearing that scarf in them.
Oh,
so it's kind of weird. So like, there's continuity there with the scarf.
Oh my God, the canon is real! Everybody out of the house!
It was just a bunch of Sonic characters trading gifts, and it ends with Dr. Eggman invading. Oh, and
my favorite is Rouge giving the Master Emerald to herself.
Yeah.
And the Knuckles like, wait a minute, Island. And she's going, well, you better hurry up and go find out.
They all have a Christmas party at Restoration with Jewel later, so it was so weird. He's hearing Jewel's name getting uttered like that.
Oh, the canon is real. Oh my God, no, I don't know.
I know you don't care, but Shigs and I do. So
no. Let me put it. I would care more if they actually did it more. It's just that because I know frickin' Flynn's fingerprints are all over this stuff. Like, that is the force that is driving this, and it would be much more disappointing.
Flynn only does what he's allowed to do. Like, all this stuff ultimately like comes out of his hand.
Absolutely. I'm not saying it isn't, but I am saying, like, to generally speaking have all that philosophy of having this stuff connect kind of all originate to him being involved in projects and not because, Kishimoto believes firmly in what the comic's doing or something. That's kind of where, like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, it needs to come from somewhere else because it can't just be this around the edges stuff. They either need to commit to it or don't.
And one thing I had been hoping to do, but we obviously don't have time for, was just like talk about what we expect for the year, but we just don't have time for that.
I expect fewer Sonic games than last year.
Definitely, I think it's fewer. I think we're going to get quite a bit less Sonic content than we did.
We can't get more.
Year.
It would kill me if we got more.
We're getting Sonic Prime. We're getting Knuckles TV show, and we're getting the movie. So, like, I think it's already too late for that.
Well, we believe we're getting at least some sort of, Sonic Superstars. If not like meaningful content update, then at least like promotional updates in the same way that we got, the Christmas outfit or how we talked about the data mining stuff.
And I'm sure we'll get some kind of Sonic Dream Team stuff as well, although we know it's going to get post-release content. They said it was, but we don't know what the extent of it's going to be yet. So we'll see.
Whether it be like Tails challenges or whatever.
I'm of course what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for more.
Yeah, we know you want characters. You want to play as your other character friends in the Sonic's game.
Yep. Okay, so I think that about does it. So, let's just tell some people to look at our stuff. So, I have a review for Sonic Dream Team on Sonic Stadium. I worked very hard on it. I took a week-long break off of Discord to minimize my distractions to make sure I could get it done. So, go read it if you want me to talk about how fun Sonic Dream Team is and the issues it has. I gave it like a 4 out of 5 stars, red ring stars. Also, as we've said, GX has his Sonic Roll unboxing, which I thought was a review because I haven't watched it yet.
I do. However, I also want to promote that later this month I will be doing my generally as long as things go as expected. I believe I will be doing my annual Sonic Year in Review. I basically, it's just an excuse to, as you have probably figured out, I'm not a typical Sonic fan. I don't value all the things that typical Sonic fans value. The things that I care about and don't care about are not the same.
I think it's fine that Sonic Prime appeals to kids.
Sure, I do. I think it's fine that it's a perfectly cromulent show that is decent within its age. I'm not going to get into this. Is bullcrap, but
we're going to be discussing Sonic Prime a lot pretty soon.
We'll
save it for that.
We sure are, but I get we'll say he self-described previously as like the sounding board of, hey, you know what? The Sonic franchise is weird. Here's all the ways that it was weird this year as we just sort of go through and roast the year. And the perpetual guest that I have on is one Mr. James Jones, who does, we'll say, Nintendo podcasting and occasionally streaming across the internet. And he is an entertaining person, and I enjoy attempting to torture him with the things that happened this year, like how many freaking content releases we had.
Be sure to talk about how awesome Sonic Frontiers: The Final Horizon was.
Sure. Sure.
I still need to play it after the update to find out just how much easier it is.
A bunch of that is specific to easy mode, aside from like the.
Well, that's what I play in is easy mode, basically.
Well, in any case, is Sega Sonic Radio coming back anytime soon, or?
Sega Sonic Radio is still being worked on. I am approaching building up a music backlog that, There is a lot of music that I have not been able to have on this thing because it takes a lot of time to get it done. I now have complete self-ripped copies of the Sonic Superstars soundtrack, the Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog soundtrack, and the Sonic Dream Team soundtrack that I pulled the files out, converted them to what they need to be converted to, and properly metadata tagged. And I'm sure for some people that will not matter, and you will think that I should just pull it off of YouTube. But I'm a professional, dang it. And I did professional stuff.
You are. Okay, so I look forward to you eventually doing that one day.
Someday soon. Much sooner than previously soon.
Okay, and Shigs, you have anything to hawk?
Not curly. I have a freaking Samba de Amigo multi-system review that I wrote weeks ago that I still haven't put up on the site. I just needed somebody to look over it, and, possibly edit it before I put it up.
I forgot about that. Crap.
Yeah, that's the problem. I keep forgetting about it.
All right. Okay. I'll try to look at it tomorrow. All right. So that's everything. Have a happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, happy 2024, everyone. Let's hope it's a quieter year.
Yes, hopefully. Okay, although I still hope we get at least one game.
We'll probably get something. Yeah, you're gonna get a new game. It's called Sonic Roll. It's a dice game. It's pretty decent.
A real game.
We're gonna get Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi, maybe.
Bite your tongue, sir.
Not one of those silly board games.
Board games are real games. They're the realest games. They were games before your dumb video games, and they'll be games long after.
All right.
Peace, everyone.
See you all later.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we are off.